What is the one thing that every person on earth wants in their life? A home, money, food. Maybe food. I guess everyone would want money too, but never mind. No, the thing that everyone wants is happiness. To feel that warmth inside that permeates all throughout your body and psyche. To wake up and feel like today is going to be your day. To hang out with your friends and laugh together about your really dumb inside jokes. I bet just thinking about it feels good, doesn't it? Well, happiness, unfortunately, isn't that simple. I'm sure everyone has felt those periods in their life where this idea of happiness just felt unreachable. Today, I'm not going to teach you how to be happy because it's just kind of impossible to teach. Happiness is this bar that we've collectively created that has no standard and has no maximum to reach. Instead, today, we're going to talk about how to become happier with positive psychology. Now, I understand that this might just sound uninteresting at first, but trust me when I say these tips are truly helpful and can make life a lot nicer. But first, what exactly is positive psychology? Well, positive psychology is a study where people look at how our minds function and behave in certain situations. In the past, psychology primarily focused on the negative aspects of our minds, looking at what is wrong and how to fix what is quote unquote broken. They would focus on the sad parts of our lives and try to get rid of the sadness to only leave the happiness left. However, that just puts a lot more focus onto the negative aspects of our lives and paying more attention to it. In reality, we can't just get rid of our negative emotions. Instead, what if we looked at the good parts of our lives and tried to strengthen those? We can't just get rid of sadness, but we can make it have less of an impact on our lives. This is what positive psychology aims to do. Now, if we want to properly talk about positive psychology, we have to talk about its origins, which started. What are you doing here, Martin? No, it's not your turn yet. Yeah, but you didn't invent positive. You know what? I'm just gonna. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. What was I? Ah, yes. Positive psychology actually has its roots attached to several ancient philosophies and religions. As a collective, we will dub them the ancient wisdoms. Over time, we have taken these ancient traditions and adapted their concepts for the more modern Western audience. A millennia of wisdom has accumulated with several more faint unseen rivers joining together. These are real lived practices and are just much more than a few examples that you can see here. Each all gathers into this transformative synthesis, where all these traditions flow into one another and into the different pools of wisdom. It's important to acknowledge that in this transformation process, several aspects of these traditions and wisdoms are changed and transformed to better adapt to modern psychology. Others retain their full brightness, and the rest dissipate into the mist for several reasons. Some of these ancient practices are just too specific, too sacred, or just plain don't fit what modern positive psychology wants to be. This transformative synthesis splits into three major pools of different practice types. There's the practice-based pool, where tradition of lived experience and community practice come together to create practical application. The center innovation pool is where experimentation and adaptation over these traditions come together to create new practices. Then there is this research pool where studied and peer-reviewed practices come together to refine these ancient traditions and wisdoms. When all three of those pathways come together, you get the basis of modern positive psychology. All of these practices shown down here didn't just appear out of nowhere. They've been applied due to the wisdom passed down from ages past. It's those ancient wisdoms we have to thank for most of the practices we use today. But what really spurred on modern positive psychology? Or rather, who did? Dr. Martin Seligman is known as the father of positive psychology. His 1988 presidency in the American Psychological Association is what spurred the giant positive psychology movement in the 90s. And it's all thanks to his daughter calling him a grouch while weeding their garden. His work is contributed through the well-known VIA strengths and PERMA models of well-being, which much of positive psychology is connected and kind of centered around. Overall, this happy guy is who brought positive psychology to the limelight. Now, why does this matter? What's so effective about positive psychology in the first place? Well, to answer that, we have to look at the 5 big truths about our brains. Number 1, we are vulnerable to over-focusing on what's wrong with our lives rather than what is right. There's this condition between medical students, properly named medical student syndrome, where students believe that they are experiencing the symptoms of the disease that they're studying. By focusing so much on the little parts of their daily functions like small twitching, looking at their moles, or just feeling a little hot, they overthink that they have some life-threatening disease, when in reality, nothing's wrong. All of that anxiety and panic builds up and they overstress themselves. This example perfectly describes this idea that we focus on things that just might be wrong with us that really aren't. Another example comes from the ever-present social media. Scrolling online is no uncommon idea in our tech-based world, and many people post their daily lives on these sites. However, under the hood, many of these influencers are just showing the best part of their lives. They're a whole bunch of frauds. But the average consumer doesn't necessarily know that. When we are constantly seeing other people doing so much better than us or looking so much better, our brains go to think that we just aren't pretty enough. We just aren't good enough to choose something as nice as some random person online. This way that our brain thinks is why we have so many more negative words in the English language than positive ones. We focus so much on negativity that we've created words for any kind of negative emotion. Number 2, confirmation bias. This video called the monkey business illusion. If you haven't been shown this in health class before, the premise is quite simple. You simply watch the video and keep a count of how many times the white team passes the ball. Sounds pretty easy, right? Well, after they stop passing the ball, the video asks whether you noticed the monkey hop in the middle of the circle doing a funny dance. Most people wouldn't have even realized there was a monkey in the video at all because of how focused they were at watching the ball. This is an example of confirmation bias. We find what we look for. Our brains are really good at tuning out random noise to focus on one specific thing. A personal experience of mine is how I figured out how much Garfield just exists everywhere. Once you actively start noticing how much this cat is just everywhere, you can never unsee it again. Trust me. So next time you go out or you're out on vacation, I implore you to see how many times you can count Garfield. Or think about something you never really thought about before and see how common it is out in the real world. Number 3, the carryover effect. In more simple terms, what we pay attention to grows. People say that practice makes perfect, or it just makes you better because you keep on using that part of your brain over and over again. For artists, practicing over and over again is what helps them improve. Or, if you keep practicing those math problems and puzzles, soon enough you get good at those as well, because you are exercising that part of your brain. You give it nutrients so that it gets better and better at the specific tasks that you do over and over again. It works the same with our failures. If we keep pointing out our own failures and ruminating on those failures, our brain will get really, really good at pointing out those failures. Eventually, that's all you're going to start thinking about is your failures. However, if we start picking out all the good things in our day, our brain will start focusing on those good parts of the day instead of the bad ones. Number 4, the problem with happiness. We as a society have tainted messaging about positivity and happiness up to the point where it seems like we shouldn't even be pursuing it. In fact, it's actually unhelpful and damaging because a lot of the time social messaging talks about hedonic happiness, which is material happiness, like money or expensive items. This sort of happiness is only temporary because you'll eventually want to keep buying more things or just want more money so that your personal bar of happiness keeps getting raised higher and higher, but you'll always go back to your baseline happiness, aka a thing called hedonic adaptation, or just reaching back to your equilibrium point. What we should be focusing on is eudaimonic happiness, or meaning based happiness. It's enjoying the process rather than the outcome and focuses more on other people than just yourself, because if you learn nothing else from this, other people matter. And number 5, the contrarian brain. I think we've all had this collective experience of taking a test and there was just one question you know you studied and are trying to think really hard on what the answer is, but your mind just blinks. And then later in the test, you get that eureka moment and remember out of the blue when you're no longer thinking about it. That is the contrarian brain. Sometimes when we think too hard about something, we actually think about the opposite. For example, we try not to think about having to make that call to the doctor's office. We get more stressed about thinking about having to call the doctor's office. Same goes with positivity. When we try to think too hard about positivity, those little negative bugger thoughts crawl in and infect our happy ones. This brings me to the central idea of this video. This one aspect of positive psychology that deals with all of these truths about our brain and can help us reach this goal of being happier. Now let me set the table here. Imagine you are having an assignment coming up that you really should just get started on now rather than the day it's due. You have two options. Option 1 is to ignore my warning and stay on your phone in your little comfort zone, watching a movie while scrolling on your phone. Option 2 is to step out of your comfort zone and actually start that assignment because you don't want to wear yourself out later. This, my friends, is an exercise in willpower, which is what we'll be going over today. Okay. Are you thinking, disembodied voice, what does positive psychology and willpower have to do with each other? Well, willpower is commonly known as the resistance of short-term temptation for a long-term achievement. What is less known is that willpower acts more like a muscle. It can be trained. Simply put, living an easy life weakens the willpower muscle, but adding discipline and structure can strengthen the muscle. And it's good to strengthen it as well, because willpower is a finite source. Like mining gold or putting gas in your car, it's going to run out eventually, and then your self-control and determination goes down the drain. So how do we build up this muscle? There's 4 hacks that help with strengthening your willpower and build that muscle, and that is what I'm going to teach you right now. Hack number 1, eliminating decision fatigue. Decisions drain willpower. It's really that simple. Deciding between that sneaky cookie and actually a healthy meal will quickly drain your willpower like an old iPhone drains its battery. Mark Zuckerberg is a famous example of eliminating decision fatigue with his complete lack of original clothing. He famously wears the same gray t-shirt all the time to get rid of the brain power of having to decide what clothing to wear every single day. Now, I'm not advocating for such extreme measures. There's smaller things that could add up over time. Some examples include picking out what you want to wear the day before, or meal prep the week to eliminate the hassle of thinking about what to make every night. That way, you start your day full and can use your decision-making skills on more important decisions. Hack 2, designing the path of least resistance. If you want to make good decisions, you have to make bad decisions harder to make. You want to remove as much friction as you can from your decision making. Do you have trouble focusing on your task at hand because you're mesmerized by Subway Surfers gameplay? Then put your phone somewhere where you can't find it. Do you want to read more? Then put books on your counter or table out in the open where you see it. Do you want to eat healthier? Put the good foods in easy to access invisible places and hide the chips in the back. By making the better decisions easier to do, it takes away the strain of going out of the way to make the bad decision. Because at the end of the day, humans are lazy and we would rather do the easier option. Hack 3, the autonomy shift. Do you hate doing homework? Are you tired of your boring job because you have to? Well, do I have the deal of a lifetime for you? Reframing work to say that you choose to do it rather than having to do it reduces how much willpower you have to put in to get the assignment done. Seeing things as a personal choice that you would want to do always makes things easier to chew. When your teacher would let you choose your own topic for an assignment, you had a better time doing it? I know I did. And that was because I got to choose what I wanted to do. So it didn't feel like I had to slog through something I didn't care about, even though I still had to do the assignment. That small shift in perspective will save you so much time and brain power rather than just complaining the whole time. Fact 4. Self transcendent goals. Busy work is never doing the same uninspiring thing over and over again gets boring real fast. In such circumstances, it's important to look at the big picture. Why are you doing this? What bigger goal will you achieve by doing this? By connecting these smaller steps to the outcome of all your hard work, it becomes easier to refill that willpower tank and continue pushing through the harder things. Whether you want to save lives or build cool robots, when the outcome is bigger than yourself and you can connect it to how others will benefit, the work will feel worth it in the end. If the steps feel too overwhelming, breaking them down into even smaller micro goals helps create that motivation and momentum for moving on to the next step. Now, with these hacks in mind, the ultimate way to implement all of these is to make a plan. Planning ahead is the best way to eliminate decision making because you already know what you're going to do. One of the best ways to implement plans is to implement if then goals into your daily life. An if then goal is something like if I make a sandwich, then I'll use whole wheat instead of white bread. With this technique, you can plan for when things go wrong as well. If there are interruptions to your plans, then you already thought of a solution ahead of time instead of stressing about thinking about what to do in the moment. In fact, planning results is a greater motivation to do your tasks because you don't have to think as much. This way of planning eliminates decision fatigue, which can help design paths of less resistance, which can help shift your mind to doing smaller tasks that you choose to do, and helps you see your overall goals. We're not relying on sheer willpower here. That will just wear us out faster. Having a plan is the backbone that will help us live a well-lived life. Okay, disembodied voice, I hear you say. How do we make these good plans to live a well-lived life? Well, dear viewer, let me introduce you to Whoop goals. Something that you, yes, you, can do at home. And I will show you how to do it. I encourage you to follow along and try making a goal as we move along. But first, what exactly are Whoop goals? Whoop is a researched strategy to help achieve your goals. Through these studies, we find out that just thinking about achieving your goals is not enough. If your brain already thinks that you're going to achieve something, then there's less motivation to actually do your goals. Most people find success in creating a plan if something goes wrong. By taking your greatest hopes and dreams and balancing it with the reality of life, having obstacles that get in your way can create effective strategies and plans to achieve goals. WHOOP is actually an acronym that will take us through the 4 steps in creating these specific goals. Step 1, the wish. The initial step in creating any plan is to identify what your goal is. Pick something that has a meaning to you and is actually achievable. Walking on the surface of Venus to take a selfie with aliens is currently not a very achievable goal. It should also be something specific and personal to you. Having broad goals is good, but if you want to achieve something, looking at the specifics can help you reach your goals. Some examples could be finding a new job, passing your final, or finishing that crochet blanket you started 5 years ago. Step 2, outcome. This is the part where you sit down and think about what the best possible outcome could be. Really just take a moment to ponder on how you will feel when reaching success. Take in those positive emotions and fuel your motivation. Think to yourself how it will benefit you, your community, and what positive changes will be created when you're all done. Having enough funds to get new friends and live a comfortable life, passing all your classes to graduate, or finally getting that dusty blanket out from the corner of your room. Step 3, obstacles. What could go wrong? When doing this step, try to look for personal barriers and what you have control over. There will always be outside circumstances that we can't control, but the goal here is to see what we do have control over. What barriers do you have that would prevent you from accomplishing your wish? Are you a heavy procrastinator? Are you scared you're going to fail? Or are you stressed out about the whole ordeal? Or do you just feel like you aren't skilled enough to do it? Or do you just have different priorities than crocheting for 4 hours every day? Step 4, plan. Creating your if then strategy. Create a few with the obstacles that you think are most likely going to get in your way. If this specific obstacle occurs, then I will do this action to effectively go around it. This way, you already have actions prepared for when things inevitably go wrong. If I start bombing the interview, then I will use everything I learned to make sure the next one goes smoother. If I feel stressed out about studying for the exam, then I will study in small chunks and layer it with doing things I enjoy. If I mess up a specific square in the blanket and feel like giving up, then I will just do it and try again with help from a tutorial. Yeah, all right. That might have been a lot to take in chunks, so let's create a full example in real time. Let's say I want to create a consistent time where I wake up bright and early every morning. That would be my wish. The best outcome would be getting in a routine and waking up feeling refreshed and ready to slay the day away. A few obstacles that could realistically get in my way are feeling tired, waking up being on my phone before bed, or just sleeping through the alarm every morning, or even just going to bed really late every night due to school or work. Now, what are some plans that we can use to combat our obstacles? If I start feeling tired and ready for bed while on my phone, then I'm going to put it away before getting ready and doing a light activity for 10 minutes before going to sleep. If I sleep through my alarm, then I'm going to set a few and make it even louder to make sure I wake up. If I have to go to bed really late, then I'm going to try and finish my work earlier or commit to going to bed for my health rather than stressing on it for one assignment. The biggest thing about Whoop goals is just you have to be confident in yourself. If you think you can achieve your wishes, then you need less willpower to get the train running. Believing in yourself is the best start to achieving your goals. Now you know how to plan and make effective goals. With this newfound knowledge, my hope is that you at least give it the good old try and see how effective this strategy can be when applied to your life. Try to genuinely come up with small daily whoop goals for a week or two and see if you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, you can make a habit out of planning ahead. By creating ways to make your life easier, you'll see that you'll have a lot more time to enjoy the things you love to do and make your life happier. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you gained a nugget or two about positive psychology and ways to live a well lived life. Have a wonderful day.